फ्रेंड्स, वेलकम बैक टू माय चैनल। जैसे कि आपने मेरी पिछली वीडियो में देखा हाउ टू मेक अ रेनबो विद प्रिज्म, और जिसने नहीं देखा है वो डिस्क्रिप्शन में लिंक है, वहाँ से जाके देख लिए। और आज हम इस वीडियो में चैप्टर 1 क्लास 8 क्रॉप प्रोडक्शन एंड मैनेजमेंट पढ़ेंगे। उसके लिए सबसे पहले आप लाइक, शेयर, कमेंट और सब्सक्राइब कर दें और बेल आइकन को प्रेस कर दें ताकि आपको हमारी वीडियो सबसे पहले मिलती रहे। चलिए शुरू करते हैं। सबसे पहले जो हंटर गैदर्स थे वो सबसे पहले रॉ मीट और रॉ फ्रूट्स एंड वेजिटेबल्स खाते थे। फिर ग्रेजुअली उन्हें डिस्कवर करी फायर, और फायर में जो कुक्ड फूड था वो उनको सबसे अच्छा लगा, इसलिए उन्होंने फायर में पकाना चालू कर दिया। फिर उसके बाद धीरे धीरे उनको सोइंग सीड्स एंड ग्रोइंग क्रॉप्स का ट्रेडिशन चालू हुआ, और इसलिए उन्होंने फील्ड्स बनाए रिवर बैंक्स के पास में ताकि उनको वाटर इजीली अवेलेबल हो जाए। इससे स्टार्ट हुआ ट्रेडिशन एग्रीकल्चर का। और एग्रीकल्चर मेनली 2 लैटिन वर्ड से बनता है, एग्री एंड कल्चर। AGER, एग्र, CULTURE। Agri means field, the area or a field which are crop to be grown, and culture means cultivation of the crops. When crops are cultivated on the field, that is called cultivation. Now what is agriculture? Agriculture is the growing of crops for getting the useful things, and crop means growing of one particular crop in a large area, that is called crop. Like crop, for example, crop of rice. It means a crop of rice is grown on a large area. Crops are mainly divided into 4 groups: food grains, commercial crops, plantation crops, and horticulture. Food grains are the crops which are used for human consumption, and commercial crops are the crops which are semi-processed or raw material for some industries. And plantation crops are the crops which are grown on the large estates. And horticulture are the crops with, for example, are vegetables and fruits. First is food grains. Food grains, for example, wheat and rice. Commercial crops are like the example of cotton and jute. And plantation crops are the example of tea and coffee. And horticulture are the example of mango and vegetables like cucumber, salad, and that's only, etc. Now crops are mainly divided into 2 categories. Kharif crops are grown in rainy season from June to September, and Rabi crops are grown in winter season from October to March. And Rabi crops have one type, Z crops. Z crops are grown in March to June, and Kharif crops are the example of like maize and maize and paddy. And Rabi example are wheat and pea. And Z crops are the example of muskmelon and watermelon. Now our next topic is agriculture practices. Agriculture practices are the practices which are used to cultivate the crops in the field. Now these are of 7 types. First is preparation of soil, then sowing of seeds, and then adding manure and fertilizers, and then irrigation, and then protection from weeds, and then harvesting, and then storage. Now first we will discuss preparation of soil. Preparation of soil is very important process, because when the soil becomes looser, the roots of the plants goes deeper inside the soil and gets more moisture and water. It is very important process, and it is done by some agricultural implements. Agricultural implements are the implement tools which are used to polish the soil. Polish the soil, loosen the soil, and it also provides good durability, and also breaks down the crumbs or the large pieces of soil of soil. And first there are few main types of agriculture tools. There are 4 main types of agriculture implements: polge, hoe, laborer, and cultivator. Polge. Now polge is like this type of structure. It is This plate is of iron plate. This is of iron, and this is of wood. It is used to polish the soil and make the soil loose. This is polish shaft. This is polish shear, and when it is attached to the bull, then it is called beam. Now we come to hoe. Hoe is like this structure. This is handle. Grip. This is grip. This is bent plate. This is rod. And this is beam. This is the scope, and it is used to remove weeds. Now we come to leveler. It is a metal or iron plate which is used to level the soil before sowing the seeds. It is driven by a tractor or an animal. And now we come to cultivator. Cultivator is like a pulse, but it is big and it is driven by a tractor. It saves the labor and time. Our next topic is sowing. Sowing is the process of seeds which are sown into the ground, and these are very important topics that we should have healthy and good seeds for sowing into the ground before sowing into the ground. And do you know how did farmers know that the seeds are good and healthy? First, they take a glass of water and they pour some seeds. And when these seeds go drawn into the water, then they are healthy. And then when they are floating, then they are not healthy and not supposed to grow into the field. And now there are two methods of sowing seeds. First is traditional method and second is modern method. Now traditional method is called broadcasting. It is the method when the seeds are sown into the ground by hands, and it is done with the funnel which is to be buried into the ground, and then seeds are drawn into the ground. And now the modern method is seed drill. Seed drill is the modern machine which is to be driven by the tractor, and it saves labor and time, and it gives appropriate and minimum length and uniform length to the seeds to grow, and it is beneficial for the plants to grow because it gives them a large area for the plants to grow. And do you know there is one more method of transplantation, and it is done with the paddy, and it is done by when the paddy is grown into a nursery and then it is transplanted into the field. Now our next topic is adding manure and fertilizer. Now there is a big difference in manure and fertilizer. Now first we understand what is the use of these two. These two is used in the soil by farmers because it helps the soil to get its nutrition back, and this process is called manuring. And now some common examples of fertilizers are NPK. N stands for nitrogen, P stands for phosphorus, K stands for potassium. And the other example is CAN, calcium aluminum sulfate. And now what is the difference between these two? Manure is prepared by the decomposition of cow dung and vegetable peels. Fertilizers is done by the chemicals and all, and it is prepared in the factories. It is prepared in the factories and it is prepared in the field. It pollutes the water, it does not pollute the water. It is rich in plant nutrition, but it is not rich in plant nutrition. It is rich in humus, but it is not rich in humus. Now some advantages of manure is it improves the texture of the soil. It makes the soil porous so that gases can enter and plants roots can breathe easily. And it's increase the number of friendly microbes, and it increase the water enhancing of the capacity of the soil. It means that water holding capacity of the soil. And there is another method of replenishing the soil is called crop rotation. It is done by the leguminous plants in its roots nodes. There live a bacteria Rhimbosium. It fixes the nitrogen and give to the soil so that the plants can take the nitrogen and grow properly. Now our next topic is irrigation. Irrigation. Now what is irrigation? Irrigation is the process of providing water to the crops at certain intervals of time. Now there are two types of irrigation. First is a traditional method, and second one is modern method. Now first we come to traditional method. Now these are four types: rahat, dhegli, chain pump, and motia. Now first motia. Motia is simply pulling the water from the well, and rahat is the process when a wheel and it is connected to two bulls. When two bulls rotate, and then the water comes easily from the river to the field. And now rahat. Rahat is the process like you have seen a seesaw how it is going these that, and now it is attached to a well, and when here it is a load, and when the load is removed off it goes down, and here is a bucket, it fills, and when the load is again put it here it comes up, and then the full bucket full of water comes up, and then we are putting the water into the field. And now chain pump. Chain pump is the automatic moving machine which is done in the middle of the river for taking out the water from the direct river to the field. And now come the modern method. Modern method are of two types. First one is sprinkler method and second one is drip water system. Now first is sprinkle method. Sprinkle method is the method when a pipe is there and the water is sprinkled over a field at a large area, and it is done at various areas of the field. Now drip system, it is the system and a pipe goes along the roots of the trees, and it provides the water by drop and drop, and the water is not wasted in this process. Next topic is protection from weeds. Protection from weeds is very necessary because weeds are the things or the unwanted plants which are in the field by dispersion of seeds. You have studied in the previous class that when the air, water and all, they blow the seeds and flow the seeds towards another area, and it get dispersed and it grows there. Now these type of are also called weeds. Weeds are some common weeds are javi, or also called white lote, and bahutwa, and it is also called chamopodium, and it is removed by doing weeding. Weeding is the process of sprinkling chemicals in the field to remove the weeds. Weeds are very harmful to the field because it share the light, area, water, and all the nutrition which is for the crop, and it is removed by the weedicide. And some common weedicides are 4D, MPCA, and Bachelor. These two are the common weedicides which are sprinkled on the field. And weedicide does not harm at all at the crops, it only harms the weeds or unwanted plants. Harvesting. It is a very exciting moment of the farmer's life because after 3-4 months the crops are fully mature to be cut down from the field. Now this process is called harvesting. Now separating of the outer shell and the grains, it is done by a machine and a traditional method. Now threshing is the process of removing the outer shell and the grain by traditional method or hands we can say. And now the modern method is combined. It is the combined harvester and the thresher, and now there is another method of removing the outer shell and the grains is called winnowing. When the fan blows, the grains are dropped from a height, and the lighter shells removed away, and the grains collected here. Now next and last topic of basic agriculture amenities is storage. Storage is very necessary for the seeds to be stored and sale in the market. Now new seeds have more moisture, and more moisture develops the microorganisms and fungus in it. Now it is directly dried into the sun because to remove the moisture, and then it is stored in sacks or of bags or big tin containers, and it is stored in soices or grannies. And it is very important to have a gap between the wall and the and the bags and the or the tin bags, because the moisture from the wall is given to the seeds, and seeds become again moisture, and then it develops the microorganisms and fungus in it. Now it is very important to use a new jute bags. If you have old jute bags, then there is a method for making that old jute bags reusable. Now that method process is like when we boil the jute bag into hot water and then we directly dry it into the sunlight, then the jute bag become enough strong to hold the grains. Now this we end our basic amenities of agriculture practices. Now, as we discuss the basic amenities of agriculture practices, now do you know that we also get food from animals? Now our next topic is and last topic of this chapter is food from animals. We also get food from animals like cow give us milk, hen give us meat and eggs. Now from like crop give us food. Now animals also give us food. Now just like when we farm, that is called farming or agriculture. Then when we do animal husbandry, then it is the rearing of animals, and then it is called animal husbandry. Now for example, pisciculture is the rearing of fish and apiculture is the rearing of honeybees. Now from this we are ending chapter 1, and please subscribe my channel and press the bell icon, so our next chapter 2 will be also there very soon.